Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Tiana again, and today is November 6th, 2025. I am going to be going on over the ES futures chart for November 5th. So for Wednesday, we had our key entry point highs that were given out in the community. The high was at 68.26, and then the key entry point low was 67.96.50. So this vertical blue line here is the 1800 open Eastern Standard Time. And if you are trading at that time, you would have gotten a break out, pull back, and then if you went below that previous low, you could have entered at about 67.94 and technically wrote it down to about 67.51, or a few more points actually, but for about 40 to 45 points that move was. Then if you were trading at 9 o'clock, you had a pushback through the EMA, you had a pullback, and then what I like to call a wifey trade is one of the first trades that my husband taught me, and we call it the wifey trade because it is my favorite trade. It is a trade that once I started just focusing in on that trade and taking only that trade, I had a lot of success with it. So we had, it's basically, and all it is a low, higher low. So the way I would have entered this is to go above the red candle. So if you would have entered at 67.67, and then you could have rolled it up, and then if you anticipated it going to the key entry point, you could have rolled it up to about 67.95 for about 28 points. I'm gonna skip the rest of this. You could have traded off of the key entry point, taking some shorts, kind of scalping. You could have got, some 10-point moves all the way across, as long as you had your stop up high enough. This one probably went about 20 points, 93, yeah, 20 points there. So okay, I'm gonna slide on over. This vertical blue line here is the 9:30 open. This is when we actually start trading, and if you look at it, it is pretty choppy. It is ranging right above that key entry point. So you could have got chopped up here. Really, you could have got murdered on that key entry point if you stayed trading it, or you could have looked at it like what it was, which is it was a range. So if you played it like a range that it ranged from about 9:20 to about 9:46, so about 25 minutes. You could have taken the first bounce. You probably wouldn't have taken because it was the first touch, but if you took the second touch, which would have been at about 9:43, you could have entered at about 67.94 and anticipated it. I mean, I don't know if you would have just anticipated it going up to the top of the range, which would have been about 8 points. But if you had stayed back or put your target higher, you could have technically gotten to the top key entry point. So you could have got about 28, 29 points out of that. Another way that you could have entered this move is to see this as a low, higher low. And you could have entered on the higher low here, or the way that I like to enter it, which is a wifey trade. So it was a low, higher low. So, and it pulled back to the key entry point. So it broke out, pulled back that little red right there, and then a green candle that broke higher than the previous green candle. So if you would have went there on this wifey, which was, sorry about that timer, also off of the key entry point, You would have entered at about 67. I can't see, 67.99, so about 6,800, and then you could have rode it up to the top, or almost to the top. If you would have stayed back, you could have got all the way to the top. So about 20 points to 26 points. And then the last entry I'm gonna go over here, you had a, my dog is barking, sorry. You had a breakout, you had a pull back, and I would have been sitting here waiting for breakout pullback entry to continue long, and you didn't get it. So it was a failed breakout. And so then it broke back in, then it tested the breakout area with that tiny little green candle. Bentley. Then you had a strong red candle push back through. So if you took that candle, it's a big candle, so you would have had to have your stop back here. So it's what is probably about a 4-point stop. But you would have survived, and then never been in jeopardy, and you could have entered that at about 68.22, and then it came down where it made a double bottom at 68.10. So it's about a 12-point move that you could have got on that trade there. So that would have ended you at about 10:20. I like to be done trading by 10:30, so that's the last move I'm going to go over. But I'm just going to peek at what it did, because I didn't, I actually didn't trade yesterday, so I don't know what it did. But actually, it looks like it ranged around the key entry point level, broke back down, then it broke out and went long. So it wasn't the prettiest breakout pullback, but if you had taken, this is a good second entry long, if you had taken that at 68.32, you could have got about 14 points off of that move. Oh no, I'm sorry, you could have got more than 14 points. It kept going, so it gave you some nice second entries. Looks like off of the EMA. There's another one right there. If you would have entered that at 68.45, and then it went up to 68.57, so about 12 points. So yeah, it had some nice moves once you got out of the choppy range that it did for a little while. Looks like it ranged from 10:30 to about 11:20. So hopefully you guys caught some good moves off of these key entry points. Yeah. Until tomorrow, I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.